A world defined by food. The presence of apex predators shapes ecosystems in profound ways. Herbivores altered their movement patterns to avoid dangerous areas. They formed groups for protection. They evolved size armor and behavioral strategies to reduce vulnerability. Entire landscapes became organized around predator pressure. In the Jurassic world, fear was a constant force, an invisible hand guiding evolution. Death was not the aim. Even in death, predators played a role. When an apex hunter killed or died, its body became a resource. Scavengers followed. Insects and microbes moved in. Nutrients returned to the soil, feeding plants that would one day support new herbivores. Nothing was wasted. The Jurassic ecosystem functioned as a closed loop, fueled by cycles of life and death. Limits of power. Despite their dominance, Jurassic predators were not invincible. They depended entirely on a stable environment and abundant prey. Climate shifts, volcanic activity, or ecosystem disruptions could tip the balance. As the Jurassic Period progressed toward its end, subtle environmental changes began to ripple through the world, setting the stage for new evolutionary directions in the Cretaceous. The Age of Giants would continue, but its form would change. Chapter 2, Conclusion. The apex predators of the Jurassic were not monsters of myth. They were the product of precise evolutionary engineering, refined by time, sharpened by necessity, and unleashed in a world built to sustain them. They ruled not by chance but by adaptation. Yet even at the top of the food chain, their reign rested on fragile foundations. In the next chapter, we will turn our attention to the opposite side of the struggle, the massive herbivores, whose size reshaped the land and whose existence made these predators possible at all. Chapter 3. The gentle giants, herbivorous dinosaurs of the Jurassic. While predators captured attention with jaws and claws, it was the herbivores who truly defined the Jurassic landscape. They did not hunt, they did not ambush, yet their presence reshaped continents. Towering above forests, shaking the ground with every step, the giant plant-eating dinosaurs of the Jurassic were the foundation of the ecosystem. Without them, the predators would have had nothing to stalk. Without them, the Jurassic world could not exist as we know it. These were the gentle giants, creatures whose size was both their weapon and their survival strategy. A world built to feed giants. Jurassic Earth was rich in vegetation. Warm temperatures, high rainfall, and elevated carbon dioxide levels created ideal conditions for plant growth. The land was dominated by conifer forests, cycads and ginkgos, vast fields of ferns. Unlike today, there were no flowering plants, no grasslands, but biomass was immense. Leaves grew thick and tall, spreading across landscapes in endless green canopies. This abundance allowed herbivorous dinosaurs to grow to sizes previously unimaginable. And they did. Sauropods, the largest land animals in history. Among all terrestrial animals that ever lived, sauropods stand alone. Dinosaurs like Brachiosaurus, Diplodocus, Apatosaurus, and Camarasaurus reached lengths of over 25 meters in length, exceeding 40 tons. Their long necks stretched like living cranes, harvesting vegetation far beyond the reach of any other land animal. But size alone does not explain their success. Sauropods were not clumsy monsters. They were biological marvels, optimized for long-term survival in a world of predators. The purpose of the long neck. For decades, scientists debated why sauropods evolved such extreme neck lengths. The answer lies in energy efficiency. Rather than walking long distances to find food, sauropods could remain relatively stationary while sweeping their necks across wide feeding zones. This allowed them to consume enormous quantities of foliage while conserving energy. Different species likely specialized in different feeding heights, some browsing low vegetation, others reaching high into treetops. This resource partitioning reduced competition, allowing multiple giant species to live side by side. The forest became layered each level, harvested by a different giant, feeding the furnace. A body the size of a building requires constant fuel. Sauropods solved this problem not through chewing, but through volume. They swallowed plant material largely unprocessed, relying on massive digestive systems to ferment food internally. Their gut bacteria broke down tough plant fibers over long periods, extracting nutrients slowly but efficiently. To support this system, sauropods ate nearly continuously. They were living conveyor belts, plant matter and energy output, walking pillars of bone. Supporting such enormous mass required architectural innovation. Sauropod legs were arranged vertically beneath the body, like pillars not splayed outward, like those of many reptiles. This alignment allowed weight to be transferred directly downward, reducing stress on muscles and joints. Their bones were thick yet hollow in places, reinforced with internal struts similar to bird bones, combining strength with two-strength. Even their vertebrae were partially air-filled, reducing mass without sacrificing size. Nature had engineered giants with remarkable efficiency. Defense through impossibility. Sauropods did not rely on speed or aggression. Their primary defense was simple, being nearly impossible to kill. An adult sauropod was too large for most predators to attack successfully. Even apex carnivores risked serious injury when confronting them. Some species added extra deterrence, whip-like tails capable of delivering bone-breaking strikes, massive bulk that made overturning impossible, thick skin providing limited protection. Predators learned to aim elsewhere, targeting juveniles rather than adults. Herds, not solitude. Evidence suggests that many sauropods lived in groups. Trackways preserved in ancient sediments show multiple individuals moving together, often in the same direction and at the same pace. This hints at social organization, possibly herding behavior. Herds provided protection for the young. Within a moving group of giants, juveniles stood a far better chance of survival. Group living also allowed sauropods to modify landscapes, collectively flattening vegetation, opening pathways, and reshaping ecosystems simply by moving through them. They were engineers as much as animals. Not all herbivores were giants. The Jurassic also hosted smaller plant-eating dinosaurs. Species like Stegosaurus represented a different strategy. Instead of enormous size, they evolved. Heavy armor plates, spiked tails for defense, low browsing levels. Stegosaurus fed on low-growing plants, occupying a niche untouched by the towering sauropods. Its iconic plates likely served multiple purposes: defense, display, or temperature regulation. Together, large and small herbivores filled every available plant-eating role. The true power of herbivores. Herbivorous dinosaurs did more than survive, they controlled the flow of energy. By consuming plants, they converted solar energy into animal biomass. That energy then passed upward to predators. In this way, herbivores were not passive background creatures. They were the engine of the Jurassic ecosystem. Remove the giants and the system collapses. A fragile dominance. Despite their power, even the gentle giants were not invincible. They depended on stable climates, abundant vegetation, and vast open spaces. Environmental shifts, drought, volcanic activity, or changes in plant communities could destabilize even the largest species. As the Jurassic progressed toward its end, subtle changes began to appear. Plants diversified. Continents continued drifting. Ecosystems slowly transformed. The giants would endure into the Cretaceous, but their world was evolving. Chapter 3, Conclusion. The herbivorous dinosaurs of the Jurassic were not side characters. They were architects of landscapes, drivers of evolution, and the living proof that size, when paired with efficiency, can conquer a world. Without them, the predators would have strayed. Without them, the forest would have grown unchecked. Without them, the Jurassic would not be the Jurassic. In the next chapter, we step away from science and into behavior, exploring the daily lives of Jurassic dinosaurs, how they lived, moved, communicated, and survived in a world ruled by instinct and evolution. Chapter 4. Daily life in the Jurassic world. Behavior, survival, and social lives. The Jurassic world was not defined only by bone and size, but by behavior. Beyond the towering giants and lethal predators lay another story, quieter but no less powerful: how dinosaurs lived, day to day, how they moved through their world, how they raised their young, how they communicated, endured fear, and adapted to an environment ruled by constant pressure. To understand the Jurassic is not just to study anatomy, but to step into the daily rhythm of a prehistoric planet, a world that never truly slept. Jurassic ecosystems were alive around the clock. At dawn, herds of herbivores began to move slowly at first, then with growing momentum. Their footsteps crushed vegetation and sent vibrations through the ground. Predators watched from the shadows, conserving energy, reading the movement of prey. Midday brought heat. Activity slowed. Many dinosaurs sought shade beneath dense foliage or near water sources. Large bodies retained heat, making rest essential to survival. As evening fell, the balance shifted again. Smaller predators became active. The air filled with movement. The Jurassic world did not sleep, it cycled, driven by temperature and hunger. movement as survival. Dinosaurs were not wanderers without purpose. Migration was common, especially among herbivores. Seasonal changes in rainfall and vegetation forced herds to move across vast distances in search of food. Fossilized trackways reveal long